my big silver dollar is having swim bladder problems. And I'd just like to go through what I would do when dealing with problems with your fish. Now, what I'm trying to say though is that even if you do things, it doesn't guarantee that you're gonna save your fish. Now, generally, swim bladder problems are caused from feeding. However, there could be other causes as well, which I am not sure about. However, I just would like to talk about generally what I would do when dealing with fish problems. And now the first thing that I would like to point out, especially if it's a schooling fish, I would say putting it in quarantine is probably the last thing you should do, which is something people jump to really quickly, and that is because the #1 killer of fish is stress. Fish get ick from stress, they get parasites from stress, fish get extremely sick from stress. So the first thing you want to do is minimize stress. That could be turning off your fish tank lights. Quarantine is usually the last step when you've either figured out what's going on or your fish is in fairly bad condition. If your fish is still swimming, still eating, and schooling with the other fish, my recommendation is first step is leave it in the tank. The next thing you want to do is water change. Water change is always the greatest general cure. So that's what you want to do. Do a 50% water change. Do a large water change. Now, I'm doing that right now. You can see my silver dollar is having a hard time staying afloat. You can see he's facing upwards and swimming pretty more than usual, and he's breathing heavier than usual. However, as you can see, he is still fine, as in not really going belly up or any of that. Generally, water change is not going to be enough to cure an already sick fish. So I usually go to my first step general cure, Aquarium Salt. Now, this is why I like Aquarium Salt is if you add it to your tank with sick or unsick fish, it is not going to stress them out, and it's not going to hurt the sick fish, and it's not going to hurt the unsick fish. It's not going to kill the cycle in your filter. And it usually helps a lot. Aquarium Salt. You can go online and read up about Aquarium Salt, and you'd see a lot of people do recommend it. Now, knowing it's a swim bladder problem, usually the first fix is to feed with pee so it could poop. I've tried that. It doesn't seem to be pooping at all that much, so well, I haven't seen it poop, and it's pretty hard to see a silver dollar poop. They don't leave long stringy poops. They drop really small ones, and I haven't had time to actually watch it and see if it pooped. So that could be the problem, but other problems, swim bladder, could be infections as well. So the first thing I'm going with is salt. But other things you could do with swim bladder specifically is increasing the aquarium temperature. This would increase metabolism to get it to poop faster, assuming that it is poop. However, like I said, if it doesn't get better, then it's most likely something internal. So most likely I would have to go with a harsher treatment. But for now, I'm sticking with increasing the tank temperature. So this is day 2 of the treatment. My fish hasn't been getting any better. I treated it with salt, the tank with salt. However, that doesn't seem to help, and possibly could have made it worse. Salt changes the way fish osmoregulate, so I'm guessing that the salt might not actually be helping, instead making it worse. So currently I have my fish in the Epsom Salt Dip. This is 2 gallons of water, and I use 2 tablespoons. So use 1 tablespoon per gallon if you are doing the Epsom Salt Dip. he lost a few scales when I caught him, so be careful. And they're also very skittish, and they will hurt themselves to try and get away from you. So when it comes to silver dollars, I like to remove them from the tank as little as possible because it does so much stress to them, and they get themselves hurt over stress very easily. So this is 2 days after using salt. My fish is still struggling, so I did a large water change since the salt didn't seem to help. I decided to try using Malflex. In Canada, we don't have access to antibiotics anymore. So what I'm gonna be doing is just using Malflex. This is probably the best bet I have. Also, I heard Malflex uses up a lot of oxygen in the water, so I'm gonna make sure I have all my power heads pointed at the surface to get as much surface agitation as possible. So after all these treatments didn't work, I decided to pick up some mycin too. This is an antibiotic, and I wanted to make sure it wasn't a bacterial infection. Either way, what I did is I put it into a quarantine tank and I treated it with mycin too. At some points, I even dissolved mycin too into the water and then let some fish food soak in it so it can get more direct treatment. However, the treatment of mycin 2 didn't do anything, and this is what my fish currently looks like now. So he still struggles to swim, but he kind of adapted to his swim bladder problem, which makes me believe it's a physical trauma that had occurred. So probably he ran into something and damaged his swim bladder physically. So if anyone has a real idea of what's going on, please let me know.